decision to flip-flop. So after much deliberation by me and my group that I went to the Sierra with, we have decided that the Sierra is a little bit difficult to get through right now. We went about just over 100 miles through the Sierra, so we got a taste of it, to say the least. And you know, there were a couple issues we were having, which it was beautiful and it was worth it. But the snow was really intense, and just like starting to post hole at 9 a.m. in the morning, even like getting up early, wasn't helping as much as we thought as far as pace. So there were many days where we only went like 6 miles because it was just really slow going. Walking in the snow, there is a ton of snow in the Sierra, as I've mentioned a million times. And the issue really was lots of snow, but then it's summertime right now, so the sun is really hot, and the snow would soften really, really quickly, which meant us sinking into the snow a lot, and so crampons weren't really effective, and microspikes weren't really effective in speeding us up. So deciding to skip the Sierra will help us with our timing, because if we kept going, I don't know if I would make it to Canada by the beginning of October. So that was one reason why we decided to skip the Sierra for now. Which really is the biggest issue, other issue was the river crossing. So some of our members are really shook up by the rivers, and while some of our group wanted to keep going, we thought it was probably the smartest decision to skip for now, because it is peak melt for the snow in the next, past 3 weeks, in the next 3 weeks, I think, or maybe even 6, I don't know. But yeah, peak melt, lots of water, and it's frankly quite dangerous. So you know, it depends on your comfort level too. I witnessed people just fording rivers without even thinking about it, where there was like a drop to, you know, basically waterfall. So some people just go for it and don't really deliberate, but our group wants to be very careful about that. So we decided to skip ahead because of that too. So those are the two big reasons why we decided to skip snow and the rivers. But the snow was actually pretty beautiful, and I started getting used to it, using my ice axe when I needed it. My crampons were great, but yeah, just kind of the general trend was it was so hot that we started, you know, slowing down at like 9 a.m. So anyway, the plan is, I'm trying to get out of the sun here. The plan is to jump up to a place called Chester, which is in Northern California, keep going north to the northern terminus in Canada, and then come back to the Sierra to end the PCT hike, which I'm actually pretty excited about. So I'll probably be hiking southbound from Chester at the end of my PCT hike, and we got out on a place called Taboose Pass to get out of the Sierra recently. So that's right after Pincho Pass. So we finished Pincho Pass. So hiking southbound at the end of the PCT hike from Chester to, oh shoot, what's the peak called? Mather Peak. Or Mather, sorry, I always say peak. It's a pass, not a peak. Mather Pass, which is supposed to be kind of one of the sketchier passes, right in line with Forster Pass. So end with that, get out to Boost, and then I would love to hike Mount Whitney to end my PCT hike. Even though it's not technically on the PCT, it'd be an epic way to end this journey. So that is the general plan. You know, ideally, when I started this, I mean, every northbounder wants to keep going northbound, but so many people have had to flip. So I think it's more rare for people to keep going through the Sierra at this time, in 2019 in particular, because I think the snow is at like 200% this year. That's what I've been hearing. So, and I believe it. You know, it's summer and we were in a wintry tundra for the 100 miles we were hiking in the Sierra. So exceptional year, makes things interesting. But you know, ideally, when I started this, I wanted to go northbound, and we went in and we tried it. And at least for our group, it makes more sense to flip and then come back to the Sierra when we can really make miles without the snow and the river crossings. The river crossings were taking 2 hours to figure out how to get across sometimes, so eating up a lot of time. So in accordance with timing, we decided that this is the best option for us, and I'm excited to get into Northern California and start making miles again, get back into that groove. So anyway, obviously keep you guys updated, and more exciting, adventurous times ahead. Overview for day 71 through 74. So as I mentioned before, some of my group mates and I decided to do a flip-flop. So before doing that, we're taking a little trailcation, which means we're taking some time off of the trail on our way up to Chester. So we decided to go to Yosemite Valley, my favorite place in the world to go. And my friends Calzone and Stevie Wonder have never been, so we decided to be a good opportunity to just take some time off and see some beautiful sights. So I'm actually here right now. I don't know if you can see, but we have like this epic campsite. There's our tent on top of Eagle Peak right now. And I'll go over that in a second, but you can see Half Dome. Oh gosh. Half Dome is right there. We have a beautiful view. We're the only ones up here. So if you guys ever want to go to Yosemite Valley in the summer and get away from the crowds, go to the Wilderness Center and get a wilderness permit to backpack, because we're the only people on this peak, and we had it all to ourselves for the night and the morning. Haven't seen anybody yet. So anyway, day 71. Okay, I'm trying to get like in the shade. Day 71 was kind of when we decided to flip-flop. So we took a 0 in Bishop, because we hiked out of Taboose Pass in to get out of the Sierra into Bishop. So we took a 0, did chores, laundry, that sort of thing. And our friend Kool-Aid, who had been with us through the Sierra, had to end his trip because he had to has to go back to work. And he was kind of our guide through the Sierra. So we said goodbye to him, and yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch. But anyway, so yeah, said goodbye, did some chores, and then made a general plan for getting to Yosemite and that sort of, and Chester. So we took a 0 and decided to rent a car the next day. So day 72. Rented the car and drove to Mono Lake on our way to Yosemite. So right now, to get into Yosemite through Tioga Pass, there's only 2 windows to drive through, an hour each. So there's a window from 10 to 11 and then 3 to 4. So we just missed the 10 o'clock window. So we went into Lee Vining to have lunch and just chill out for a while. And then we made the 3 to 4 o'clock window. So drove into Yosemite, and beautiful drive. Drove into the valley, and Calzone and Stevie were really impressed. And then we had to decide like where we were gonna stay. So we went to the visitor center. We like just made it before it closed. It closed at 5, so we made it like 5 minutes before, and found out, which I didn't know this, I've been coming to Yosemite for a long time, and I've actually never backpacked it before. So there's a backpackers camp that you can stay in if you have a permit, and your PCT permit acts as a wilderness permit for this camp, but you can only stay there for like one night. And in general, if you have a wilderness permit for Yosemite, you know, say to El Capitan or something, you can stay in this backpackers camp the night before and the night after your trip. So we got to stay at the backpackers camp, which is great because it's really hard to get camping reservations in Yosemite. I tried it before and I've been successful, but it's really difficult. So anyway, PCT hikers, you can stay in Yosemite Valley at the backpackers camp. So I did that. Beautiful camp. It's a little bit of a secret near the other like campsites, but you have to like know where to go. So stayed there, and then the next day, day 73, we spent the day just in the valley. We wanted to get a wilderness permit to go somewhere, ideally to the top of Half Dome, but we didn't I can't talk today. We didn't end up getting one of those. So getting a wilderness permit just like on the spot is kind of a process. So we spent the better part of the morning at the wilderness center waiting for a permit. So we had to give like alternates. So we gave like Half Dome, going from 2 different places, trailheads, and then Eagle Peak. So after a couple hours, we ended up getting a wilderness permit for Eagle Peak. So that's where I am now. And also for El Capitan. So yeah, we scored a permit, which we were happy about because that bought us a couple more days in Yosemite. So yeah, after that, we got some lunch because we didn't really have breakfast. We were at the Wilderness Center. And then we decided to hike up to Vernal and Nevada Falls because that's something important to see, I think, if you are a first-time visitor to Yosemite. So we ended up doing that, hiked up to Vernal and Nevada. It was perfect for like a half-day hike. I've done it a couple times before, but I've been having trouble with like my hip flexor for some reason, so I was hiking a little bit slower than usual, but still a beautiful hike. And day 74, we started hiking up to Eagle Peak. So to hike up Eagle Peak, or at least our permit, was via the Upper Yosemite Falls Trail, which is a trail that I've started a couple times, but I've never completed. So I was excited about that. So hiked up the Upper Yosemite Falls Trail, which starts at Camp 4, and that was a pretty intense hike, especially with our full packs on. But we did it, and I was struggling with my hip flexor. I was going pretty slow, but made it. Had lunch at the top of Yosemite Falls, took some pictures, and then continued on to Eagle Peak, which is where I am now. So yeah, definitely recommend this overnight. I would say 90% of the people in Yosemite in the summer, which is always very crowded, are in the valley. Not a lot of people backpack Yosemite. So if you want an experience like this, very secluded, even in the summer, get a backpacking permit. There's nobody up here. And it's probably after 9 a.m. right now, and I haven't seen anyone for a long time, so since yesterday. And I'm on day 75 now, so the next day. But yeah, I think every time I come to Yosemite now, I'm going to be backpacking it because this is just such an amazing experience. We have the whole mountain to ourselves. So, yeah, pretty epic trailcation so far. Just have the best view. I've never seen a view like this of Yosemite. And I'll give you a little tour in a second. But yeah, so that is day 71 through 74, on day 75 now, but I'll give you a full update later on about that. And I will give you a little tour of our site soon. Overview for day 75 through 77. Excuse me. So sorry, the lighting's kind of bad right now, but so day 75, we woke up to a beautiful view on Eagle Peak in Yosemite. So Calzone and Stevie Wonder ended up going hiking slack packing to El Capitan, and I decided to stay behind because the view was beautiful. And also my hip was still giving me a lot of issues. So I stayed behind and had breakfast, and yeah, just enjoyed the view for a couple hours. Didn't see anybody up there. Nobody was hiking up to Eagle Peak that morning. So it was really great. So yeah, then once I got back, we packed up and hiked down back to the valley and made it down for dinner. Checked back into the backpackers camp because we had another wilderness permit, so we could stay there one more night. And after dinner, I wanted to show them this meadow by where we ate. So went to the meadow and we saw a bear, another bear sighting. And it was so cute. It was like chasing after a couple of ducks just playing around in the water and everything. So I'll include some footage of that. It was really cute. So yeah, good last day in Yosemite. Day 76, we left Yosemite and drove into Chester, which was where we're going, or where we were going to start off hiking north again. So drove into Chester and stayed at a hotel room that night, which was a luxury. Charged all of our devices and everything, took showers, and yeah, got dinner. And day 77, we took a 0 in Chester, so did chores like laundry and got some resupply stuff. Actually, you know what, we did a little bit of resupply that day, but we also went to Trader Joe's on the way to Chester the day before. So Trader Joe's is a great place to resupply. Cheap, and they have a lot of stuff that hikers need, so lightweight. So yeah, resupplied and did laundry. And the town of Chester is really cute. I walked around for a little bit because I had some time to kill. Yeah, the locals are really nice. Went into a coffee shop and a ceramics shop and talked to the owners. So yeah, really charming town. I'm excited to come back to Chester to then, once I get to the northern terminus, come back to Chester and then hike south through the Sierra. So I get to come back. So that'll be nice. But yeah, and then that day too, we did not stay in a hotel. We there's this church in town that allows hikers to put their tents up and everything. So we did that just to save some money. And our friend Stevie Wonder left to go to a family reunion. So hopefully we get to reunite and yeah, hike together again. So yeah, that is the overview for week 11, completes the overview for week 11. And I will check in soon with week 12 for when I start hiking north again.
is like insane. I'm drenched. Completely drenched.
It's ridiculous.
It's supposed to be a mist trail, not a deluge trail.
Okay, so I wanted to give you guys a tour of our Eagle Peak campsite as promised. So I'm going to flip the screen around so you can see the view. So here is our epic campsite on the, well, not quite the top of Eagle Peak, but near the top of Eagle Peak. So there's Calzone's tent. And then Stevie Wonder and I are over here. Cute little spots. Here is the view. Yosemite Falls is over that way. You can't see it from here, but from the top you can. And there is Half Dome. Somewhat of a silhouette, unfortunately, because the sun's not quite high yet. And then Nevada Falls is over that way. Amazing campsite view. Gear update for week 11. So I switched out, since we're, as I mentioned before, flipping up to Chester. Got word that there's not much snow, so I sent all of my like snowy wintry gear back home and switched out for my warmer gear. So the shirt, for example, I got it back, my sun shirt. Sent back my bear canister, sent back my Moab boots, which I'm actually into week 12 now, and I'm missing them a lot. So I'm gonna get those back when my Brooks Cascadia shoes are done in a couple 100 miles. So I'm gonna get those back. What else? Sent back my snow gaiters and my crampons and my some of my other like wintry clothes, and also my ice axes. So I'm saying that plural because I had a Camp USA ice axe to use in the snow, and the shaft was smaller, so it could be more lightweight. It's a lightweight ice axe just specifically for self-arresting. It's not really for like mountaineering. So what I found was it wasn't very useful when you use an ice axe as you're hiking. At least what I was doing was I was using a trekking pole in the downward slope side, and then my ice axe in the upward hillside, or mountainside. So what was happening was you ideally can use both as trekking poles, but the shaft in my ice axe was really short, so I couldn't even use that as like a trekking pole to dig in. I'd have to like bend over, so it was really inconvenient. So I guess my advice to folks who are going to be using an ice axe is maybe get a longer, like a normal ice axe, just so it's easier to walk in the snow. I found it really inconvenient. And so anyway, a guy that was hiking with us, Kool-Aid, who was like our guide, he knew snow travel very well, had to leave the trail because he's going back to work, and he wanted to sell some of his stuff. So he sold his Black Diamond ice axe to me. So just for future endeavors, or even when we go back into the Sierra later on in the year. I don't think there'll be a ton of snow, but just in case, I bought it for like $40 off of him. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use that going forward, because it's long, just long enough for me to use as like a trekking pole to stabilize myself as I'm walking. So I'm gonna use that going forward. And I'm going to take my Camp USA ice axe back to REI because they have like a legit return policy where if you return something within a year, I believe, I've done this before, you get a full refund. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to return my smaller ice axe that's lighter weight. And I mean, the weight's a little bit different, but nothing. I mean, you're carrying so much weight anyway with a bear canister in the snow. I didn't think it would make much of a difference. So anyway, yeah, exciting. Got a new ice axe. And then I also replaced my sun gloves for the first time. So they lasted longer than I thought. A lot of people crush through those, because you're wearing them on your hands every day and using your trekking poles. So yeah, so replaced my sun gloves, and yeah, that's about it for week 11 gear update. And yeah, I will update you on that situation in week 12.